meaning Alberta will never get to leave because no one will ever agree to let them go. What matters then is not some kumbaya agreement that we'll never get with Ottawa and the other provinces. What matters is international recognition. And if we obtain recognition from the United States, well, that is independence on that day.
Yeah. And what do you know? The people shocked the establishment. Everyone was against Brexit. All the banks, all the media, all the political parties, except for Nigel Farage's UKIP. And it happened. And I think there's a chance of it happening here.
Well, independence is the talk of the town in Alberta nowadays. It seems many of the conversations being had in people's homes have to do with Alberta separating from Canada. At least when they're not talking about the playoffs and the Edmonton Oilers, that is. No matter which side of the fence you're on, at this point, the reality is, as much as the government-paid news try to ignore it and even suppress it, this story isn't going anywhere. So they're forced to cover it. And I'm loving it.
Look, if Trump said, yeah, we want Alberta as our 51st state, I think that would harm the cause of any constitutional change significantly. Independence always polls significantly higher than joining the United States. But there are other options that could be realistically considered. One is, economic union, and kind of incentives that might come with that. As much as the legacy media and Eastern media claim this is a fringe movement, it's at the lowest in polls at 33%. Some polls have it in the low 40s. That's significantly higher than the NDP and Liberals get in Alberta combined. So, if that's a fringe movement, then being a leftist is a fringe movement in Alberta. It's a large minority movement that I think has the potential to win. It's not standing to win yet. But, if Trump were to say, well, if Albertans decide they want to be their own country, I'm willing to offer economic union with if you wanted to kind of maybe make that happen, offer currency exchange, when West Germany absorbed East Germany, they did a 1-for-1 Deutschmark to whatever East German Communmark was called. And that was very expensive because they were absorbing a much larger entity relative to themselves. Yeah. And it was like, 1-to-4 in currency. The Canadian dollar, as bad as it is, isn't as bad. You'd
have a lot of Torontonians sneaking in and saying, I'm an Albertan.
Yeah. So I think, if he was being subtle, one thing Trump is not known for is being subtle. But if he wanted to see something like this, he would put some reasonable measures towards economic union, not political union, but economic union in the window. Our main commodity, oil and gas, are already sold in American dollars. Our economy runs north-south, not east-west. So that kind of thing could make sense. If Trump wanted to hasten something like that, he could make some moderate measures like that. They could incentivize it.
Yeah, I think you're right.
But actually, I would say, just in terms of Trump involvement, he does present a unique opportunity for this to succeed after the fact. Ideally, this goes through a Clarity Act process that is legal, constitutional. The first two parts of the Clarity Act are that it has to be a clear question and a clear majority. And I'm in agreement on that. After that, it gets murkier. You have a conflict between the Clarity Act and then the universal right to self-determination of a geographically concentrated people. And, so we would need to negotiate with Ottawa and the other 9 provinces and have a virtual unanimity of them. And in the meantime, they can put 100 poison pills in it, making it impossible to leave. As Coyne was saying in his Globe column just this morning, meaning Alberta will never get to leave because no one will ever agree to let them go. What matters then is not some kumbaya agreement that we'll never get with Ottawa and the other provinces. What matters is international recognition. Right. And if we obtain recognition from the United States, well, that is independence on that day.
Yeah.
I've said it on this channel many times, and I'll say it again. The chances of Canada negotiating a good faith agreement for Alberta independence after a referendum vote is slim to none. Expect the federal government to come up with countless poison pills in the form of smear campaigns, fake news propaganda, multiple lawsuits, manufactured indigenous issues, and delayed tactics. They'll do anything and everything to continue to milk the cow that is Alberta. Many question whether Canada would even recognize a separation vote. But like I said before, at the end of the day, the ultimate event to legitimize Alberta's sovereignty is the United States recognizing it. Once America, the most powerful nation on earth, says Alberta's independent, it's over. There's very little Canada or any other country can do at that point, but to recognize it as well. Think Taiwan.
You're going to have, especially on the rural side, there's going to be rural parts of Alberta where separatism is 60%.
The Alberta UCP is different. It is a Alberta party. Smith is trying to walk a fine line, allowing both it to be a home for conservative federalists and the independence movement, which is difficult. Federally, I don't see the same room. I think conservative MPs who want to speak their mind, stay true to themselves on this, and many of them are genuine federalists. It's not a problem for that. But the Alberta MPs federally, they have to sit outside the Conservative Party. And that is unfortunate, but you can't form a new country without forming new parties.
But also, like I'm just looking out the window of your boardroom here and I see the towers of downtown Calgary. There are many corporations that are national in scope, but what about leaders of national or international companies? What about people who have, like if there was a sports star from the Calgary Flames or the Edmonton Oilers who came out for separatism, I think that the league would smash him. I think that anyone who has a vulnerability to Central Canadian groupthink narrative control would be smashed.
Well, there's going to be a lot of pressure for that. But, I mean, the independence movement, some people said it's like a wave coming into the beach and goes out, but it comes a little bit closer every time. Others compare it more to a well flare, whatever your metaphor. This one is different. This one is radically different than everyone before. Without meaning to, denigrate previous waves of it, of which I've been a part, so I have to denigrate myself if that's the case. This is not just a couple of cranks on the prairies ranting about the Eastern Bastards.
Hey everybody, very quickly. If you're new to this channel, please do me a solid and hit the like and subscribe buttons. It helps me a lot to continue making videos and bringing you the updates you care about. If you've been to this channel before, welcome back. Thanks for watching, and God bless you.
The 1 square kilometer around where we're sitting here in downtown Calgary, you would not believe what the words I have heard come out of the mouths of senior business leaders. This is not a crank on the ranch movement anymore.
But they're saying that to you privately. When I look around, I mean...
There is some fear yet of speaking. I'll put it this way. Some of them, a lot of them are there now, ready to vote yes in the privacy of the ballot box. Many of them are now at the point where they will openly say, and it's not just in private to me, they'll openly say where they are on independence, but they're not yet prepared to go stand at a podium or write a column about it, in a public setting. But they're there. And this is bringing credibility. I expect it'll probably bring funding. The Federalist side will be infinitely funded by governments and just...
And how do you stop that? Society. I mean, you can have a law, you can have elections, Alberta, try and enforce it, but try stopping the internet. I think you're going to have every political activist in Canada. You're going to have international activists. You're going to have anti-oil activists. You might have foreign countries with some stake in it. I don't know.
You see, that's a whole other angle on this. There are many interests that will be, and are, working against Alberta separation. On top of Canada's federal government and all the liberal organizations, including the government-funded media, CBC, CTV, Global News, etc., you'll almost certainly have foreign actors and multinational corporations who wouldn't want to see an independent Alberta because they have their own interests and maybe a sovereign Alberta could affect them. One thing's for sure, things are about to get very interesting in Alberta.
I mean, OPEC would probably want Alberta to stay shackled within Canada. I don't know what China would say. I don't know what... and of course, we don't know what America's deep state would say. They probably wouldn't mind getting their hands on the oil. And maybe they think that independence is a halfway step. I think it would be a free-for-all, and everyone in the world would pay their attention to it for a month.
Yeah, I'm concerned about foreign actors on both sides. And by foreign actors, I'm also including Ottawa.
Yeah.
I'm including Ottawa as a foreign power in this. Pacific Coast to Winnipeg or Flin Flon, it's a debate for everyone within there.
Right.
If you're outside of that, you know, north, south, if you're south of it, west of that or east of that, I'd like it to stay out. I'm not sure. I'm quite sure, actually, it's not possible to do that. There's going to be, there are so many agendas involved on both sides.
And in the age of social media, how do you even know?
It's impossible to regulate. I mean, you can do your best to not make it so blatant, but do we really think that the People's Republic of China doesn't have its ways, or that the CIA doesn't have its ways, or CSIS? Yeah. I mean, if you and I aren't on a list already, we're not doing something right.
Yeah. Let me throw you one last question. It's about Brexit. About a decade ago, the United Kingdom, they had a conservative prime minister who said, all right, you separatists, I'm going to throw you a bone. Let's give you your chance, blow off some steam. We're going to have a referendum, and I'll show you no one supports you. Mm-hmm. Look at me, I'm so democratic. And what do you know? The people shocked the establishment. Everyone was against Brexit. All the banks, all the media, all the political parties, except for Nigel Farage's UKIP. And it happened. And I think there's a chance of it happening here. And Danielle Smith is sort of in that interesting place where she's going to host the referendum, if not necessarily champion the exit. What hasn't happened yet that you think might happen? Will a leader emerge? Will something happen preemptively? Will Mark Carney surprise us all and be more attentive to the West? I don't think his cabinet suggested. Help me see into the future a little bit, because I don't know what to look for.
Well, Brexit's not the only great example. We have one much closer to home, the Charlottetown Accord. The Charlottetown Accord, just like Brexit, had unanimous support on one side, and that was to ratify the constitutional changes of the Charlottetown Accord. The Conservatives supported it. The Liberals supported it. The NDP supported it. Labor Union supported it. The banks, industry, everybody.
CEOs would take out ads.
Everybody who was invited to a cocktail party anywhere in this country supported it. Yeah. The only opponents were the Bloc Québécois and the Parti Québécois and the Reform Party, a complete opposite. And they opposed it for radically different reasons, but they opposed it from different sides. And it was defeated nearly everywhere outside of Ontario. Yeah. Of course, Ontario, loyal she remains, will do what she's told. Yeah. But, so like Brexit, you had all the institutions and civil society and business, all the different parties lined up on one side. The movement's going to take new leadership to step up. People have been stepping up so far, and much of it's been positive. But we're going to need our Nigel Farage. Yeah. We're going to need our Preston Manning, our George Washington. Pick your historical figure. No, hopefully not a George Washington, because that means we're shooting. So hopefully we don't need a Washington. But I'm pretty cautiously optimistic that, because this is not purely just the rural heartland of Alberta anymore, it's got people with some real financial and industrial skin in the game who now want to see this happen. I'm cautiously optimistic we're going to see new leadership emerge to lead this in a way that is credible, that is not going to scare people living in the two big cities of Alberta. And I don't discount Saskatchewan being a part of this.
All right, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please do me a solid and hit that subscribe button. It's free, and it helps me continue making videos. See you on the next one.